Hey everyone, it's Jeff the IT guy. Today we're back and we're going to be looking at this. This is a 12.9 inch 2020 iPad Pro. And if you don't know this, I'm a director of IT for a software company. And as that director of IT, I get to make decisions based upon the type of hardware that we can use, and whether that's so that we can save money or be more efficient, cut down on development time, which then would also cut down on the cost, that it takes to do a project for a client. And so here recently I've decided at the company that I was going to look at the iPad Pro versus the 2018 MacBook Pros and 2020 MacBook Pros that we were giving to our directors, VPs, and C staff at the company to see if we could save some money. And the reason for that is because the applications that those positions use, they don't need the power of a standard laptop. And whenever we go to meetings, they're all the time carrying paper and, they want to do PowerPoints and it never works out right. And there's just all these things that go into being a director or a VP or a C staff. What I mean by C staff is CIO, CTO, CEO, COO, CFO, etc. Right? And so we're going to take a look at the iPad and see how it does for that sort of stuff. We're also going to look and see how it does for IT professionals, which is what I am. And so let's go ahead and we'll start talking about it right here. So the 2020 iPad Pro 12.9 inch is a marginal upgrade over the 2018. They've added a little bit extra RAM, all right? They've upgraded the processor in it, which instead of it being the A12X is the A12Z. And what it did was it added one more compute core to it. So it was disabled on the A12X, but it's enabled on the A12Z. And they also added a LiDAR sensor to the back, which allows you to do virtual reality, or like VR or AR, augmented reality, etc., that you can use. They've also updated the keyboard. You can get the new Magic keyboard that comes out this month. It's rather expensive, however. And so it comes with a mouse on it instead of not having a mouse. The screen is 120 hertz in some applications, which means that if you're using the Apple Pen 2, it's a lot smoother and it's almost instant. It's like you're writing on real paper. And so it's a much better experience. It starts out at 128 gig for the 12.9 inch, and the price on this is $1,000 or $999 for this device here. And this is the base model 12.9 inch. As you can see, attached to it is the biggest piece of junk that has ever been created by mankind, and that is the Apple Smart Keyboard. This thing is awful. It is the biggest waste of money that anyone will ever spend. It is complete junk. Don't waste your money on it. It's $189, I think. It's ridiculous. Get yourself a different case. Find something that's a pretty decent case, like a Targus or an OtterBox, something, anything other than this. This thing is awful. Apple should be ashamed to create such an atrocity. I mean, this thing it is an offense against humanity to create something so atrocious as this smart keyboard. And so we're not going to use this with the smart keyboard because like I said, it's a piece of junk. So let's set this up right the way that it should be used. Well, let's go ahead and take off this piece of junk here. We'll just throw it over there in the corner. There we go. $12 stand right there. It's even padded. Woo, looky there. Now it's almost like an iPad. A laptop. Boom, $30 keyboard. There you go. That's what? Instead of wasting your $190 on that piece of junk I threw over in the corner, get you a $12 stand, a $30 Bluetooth keyboard, and a $50 case or something to protect it, and you're good to go, and you just saved yourself some money. You're welcome, by the way. I'm saving you from, like I said, the atrocity that is this Apple Smart Keyboard. Just burn it with fire. Can't say much about the new Magic Keyboard. I've heard good things about it. I wouldn't know though. I'm not going to pay $350 for that. Anywho, back to the review. Let's talk about the performance of the iPad Pro 12.9 inch. So I use this for iMovie with a 4-minute video clip. All right, and it took 2 minutes and 10 seconds, and that's with a little bit of transition and some titles and things in there thrown in. It took 2 minutes and 10 seconds to export or share that video, which really isn't that bad. In Adobe Premiere Rush, I used the same 4-minute video, and it took 4 minutes and 34 seconds. So obviously iMovie is a lot more optimized for the iPad than what, say, Adobe Premiere Rush is. I do think Premiere Rush has a couple more options available in it. I'm not familiar with iMovie, but I do feel that it has a little bit more options. Let's talk about the Geekbench scores of the iPad Pro here. The Geekbench for single core is 1101, and for multi-core it's 4700. That's pretty fast. I mean, to put that in a scope that would be something comparable to this is the base model 2020 MacBook Air. The single core on it is 1104, and the multi-core is 2848. And that's just in Geekbench. And really, it's hard to compare them apples to apples. It's more like apples to oranges because the MacBook Air is going to use an x86 Intel processor. It's a different type of architecture. It's got OS X running instead of iPad OS. The iPad, it has an ARM processor, so it's different. It's not apples to apples. It's not Intel versus AMD. It's, ARM versus what we would consider x86. So it is different, so you can't really compare it. So let's go ahead and we'll talk about my thoughts about the iPad Pro and how an IT professional could use it and how it will actually play a role inside of my company that I work for. And so back to the price, like I said, it's $1,000 for the base model iPad Pro 12.9 inch. You throw in the piece of junk smart keyboard, you're looking, at $1,189. Just forego the smart keyboard. So, about the $1,200 range if you make some smart choices, and maybe don't get the Apple, the Apple keyboard or the Apple case or anything that says Apple on it as far as accessories goes. You can probably keep it around $1,100 and have a laptop-like experience. Now, of course, it's touch screen. The screen is absolutely beautiful. It's 12.9 inches. So if you do that, it's in the range of almost, it's like an upgraded MacBook Air, really, as far as the cost goes. And so I find it fantastic, actually, to use. I've used it every day for 2 weeks now for my job. So I've used it every day for my job as director of IT for 2 weeks. So that's like 100 hours probably of work. The battery on this is phenomenal. I use it all day, every day from about 7:45 a.m. to about 5:45 p.m. And I don't charge it until I get off work, and then I unplug it during the day and I can move about and stuff. And I'm typically on meetings. So I use, Google Meet or WebEx or Zoom or something like that. I'm in meetings most of the day working on things. Also, spend a lot of time in G Suite, so using Docs and Google Sheets and slides and things of that nature as far as the G Suite goes. Also with the Microsoft suite as well, so the Office suite, which will include OneNote, Excel, Word. Spend a lot of time in that. Like I said, I've been using it every day, and it's been really great for that. You can use a trackpad and a keyboard with this. I use the trackpad. It's not bad. The gestures on the trackpad are fantastic. There's apps that allow you to do some more IT-centric type things. So I can connect to AWS using Terminus, and so a lot of my folks are working on some different apps and websites, the ones that I manage, and so they use AWS, and I use AWS. I mean, it doesn't matter, but so I can connect to AWS no problem using a key pair and stuff, RDS. Do all of that through it using an app. You know, I don't really do much development anymore, but when I need to, I can do it on here as well. You know, I can SSH into an EC2 instance. I can work through, you know, the Vim editor in the instance, or you can connect to Cloud9, which is a browser-based almost SSH FTP / IDE. So you can do all of it together. You can work with the terminal, you can use it as an IDE, and you can use it to upload files. And that's through Amazon as well. It's got, you know, I use, if I need to do any editing, text editing or anything, I use Textastic for code. So it does really well for that. Also, I take notes on it. And so if I'm in a meeting with clients, I can take notes on it and use the keyboard and kind of set it up and take notes and everything. It works great for that. I don't have an Apple Pen 2, so I wasn't able to try that out. I wish I was, but you know, it's what are you gonna do, right? It works really awesome with Canva, and so Canva is what I use to make my thumbnails because I'm basic. I'm not a Photoshoppy type person at all, and so I use Canva. It's very simple for me to make thumbnails. That's probably why they don't look the greatest, but it's very simple, and so it works really well on the iPad Pro to do Canva and things of that nature. And so let's move it on to how it's going to work inside of my company. I purchased 2 of these, one for myself as the director of IT and one for the vice president of operations, who is my boss. That's who I report to. And so giving him one is really the biggest challenge because he hates thinking of using an iPad for work. So think of me of an iPad as a laptop replacement. He feels the same way about the smart keyboard as I do, and so it didn't take us long to figure out that that's a piece of junk. And so we both, you know, are using, this is actually an Apple Magic keyboard from like 2011 or 12, something like that. So we're using that. He's got the same one, and it's actually going really well. He's enjoying it. I'm enjoying it. Like I said, I'm in meetings all day long on Google Meets. The battery lasts all day long. I can multitask with it. You know, it's large enough that you can multitask. You can switch through apps super fast. I'm on Slack all day as well, and so I can take all my files that get sent to me via Slack and all the chats that I've got, and I can really just move through everything very quickly. And he's actually enjoying it as well. And so before this, we both had MacBook Pro 13 inches with the i5s with 4 Thunderbolt ports, and those are $1,899. And so altogether with the iPads, you know, we had AppleCare, of course, and the piece of junk keyboards. I think they were around like $1,300 each. So it's a savings of about $500. More than that because we had AppleCare on the MacBook Pros as well. So anywhere between $500 and $700 savings. And I feel that I'm able to do my job very well on it. And I think he's starting to feel the same way too. He's still getting used to it. So we'll see how it goes. But if you're an IT director out there, or you decide the types of devices that your company is going to use, I would suggest looking at the iPad Pro 12.9 inch. You can do a lot of great things. There's a lot of apps out there for productivity, and you can actually get a lot done. Now, if you're a super hardcore power user, you know, if you're programming in Java or iOS or Android or anything like that, this isn't for you. It's really not. It's for people who, you know, want to do creative things. Like you can, like I said, you can edit video on here. It's got a 4K. It's got 2 4K cameras on it. You know, you can take some really good. It's got 4 speakers. It's got better mics. You can almost actually you can do everything you need to do as far as starting up a YouTube channel with one device. So that's pretty cool. You know, if you're into art and you're drawing and painting and things like that, you're in school. If you're in school, and it hasn't been that long, I like to think, since I was in school, but if you're in school, this is a perfect device. I mean, it does, you get this, you get a nice keyboard and a case for it, and the Apple Pen. Listen, you're set. You are set for the 4 years that you go to college, and you know, if we go back to college, right? But you know, you're set for it. You won't need anything else. You will be done. So it has a lot of uses, right? And so in the next video that you see, I'm going to compare this to the MacBook Air and see what my opinions are between using this versus the MacBook Air and which one I would choose in what circumstances. And so I've hoped you have enjoyed this video. I hope that you have found this helpful to find out really what the iPad Pro can do, what it's really suited for, and what it's great for. There are certain cases that an iPad Pro makes perfect sense, and there's other cases that it doesn't. You know, I wouldn't say run out and buy 4 of them or run out and buy an iPad Pro and a MacBook Pro. That's probably a little bit excessive unless you're just a tech head and that's the only thing that you spend money on. If you enjoy these kind of videos, watching me talk about how these devices are used for professionals and how they fit really into a professional workplace and what you can do with them professionally, go ahead and subscribe. Listen, I really appreciate it. It means a lot to me when people subscribe and comment, and it allows me to justify continue to make content for the channel. You know, it's really nice to see that people enjoy it, and so therefore I'm more motivated to try and bring things for you. And really that's what this channel is about. This channel is about helping professionals or helping those who are wanting to become professionals in the IT field. And so we do a lot of tutorials here on the channel. We look at, Raspberry Pis, we've looked at Linux. We've got some stuff coming up. We're going to be looking at Windows and how to set up a dev environment. We looked at how to set up a dev environment for Ruby on Rails with Linux. There's going to be a lot more tutorials coming on how to do different things, probably look at AWS and EC2 and things of that nature. And we continue to look at products as well and see how they fit into all of that. And so at the end of the day, I want people to make good decisions, purchasing decisions about what they need to accomplish the task. And that's very important. And so if you enjoy those types of videos, go ahead and subscribe, leave a comment, tell me what you think about the iPad Pro 12.9. If you choose this over a laptop, and leave a like if you want to, leave a dislike if you don't want to, and please, whatever you do, don't buy the Apple Smart Keyboard. Adios!